Ralph, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
Folks, I'm with Ralph Torrance of Nobile. I'll let you say the company and what you do in a minute. We've got yet another interview of people who are good at what they do and decent in the way they go about it. And you and I have known each other quite a few years, Ralph. So thank you for agreeing to be interviewed today. So why don't you start off today and just tell us a little bit about what you do, who Nobile is and what you do here.
Okay. So, as you said, I'm Ralph Torrance. I work at Nobile Group, which is a commodity trading company. It's a public company. It's in the Singapore Stock Exchange, and we trade all types of commodities from sugar, wheat, coffee, through to crude oil and petroleum products, and hard coal, everything we trade it. We make our money by optimizing the logistics and really taking it from producers who may not necessarily be able to market or reach the markets that they want, and we use our knowledge of logistics to take it to the consumers.
And as we were talking earlier, you were mentioning how the culture here and the environment is actually, it's a really nice place to work and people are really great, which is quite, it's nice to hear in this kind of environment. I can understand why you would like that as well. So given this is, you know, ManKindNess is about sharing examples of people who are good at what they do and being decent, what's influenced you? What shaped you, Ralph, in who you are?
That's a really, really good question. I mean, I didn't start off, I would love to say I had a huge master plan for my career, you know, from a very young age, you know, like many of these biographies you read of the mighty and the great. I grew up in a very humble working class household in the southwest coast of Scotland. I was a single parent family. My mother was a hairdresser, and my grandfather was just a fantastic father role model, and it was always about hard work, and he instilled into me the education side of it. So none of my family had been to university, but I saw that, you know, from probably the early teens as the way out of what was essentially a small fishing village in southwest Scotland, and I didn't want to be a fisherman. Although I enjoyed it, the occasional Sunday, I did not want to actually spend a career doing that. So it was just through hard work and education. I wanted to do a vocational degree, so I wanted a job at the end of it, so I chose to do engineering. That's how I ended up in the oil industry. I mean, being in Scotland, the North Sea was a big attraction, and I quite liked all the big lights and the iron and the structures of the North Sea. And I was very fortunate to get a summer internship with Shell in Aberdeen. So that's how I got into the oil side. And you learn very quickly. I mean, it's quite interesting as you go through education. It's very much an individual thing. You study, you pass your exams. Even at university, where we did some small team things, it was still basically an individual part of it. Now when you come out into the big wide world, you suddenly realise that it's actually a team game. You know, as a chemical engineer, you can't solely build that North Sea oil platform. You need other engineers, you know. You need people who are going to go and buy the steel, you need the welders, you know. And I think from there, you know, we all, like, as engineers, we're like everybody else as well, you know. The mechanical engineers can't do without the chemical engineers, you know? And we always think the chemical engineers were first. But the reality of it is somebody has to have the idea, and then it is a team effort. So suddenly going from being an individual, you now get into the team side of it. And that's where I've come across a lot of inspiring people, managers, you know. So I was a young engineer, and all I ever wanted to be was my boss. Right. I thought he had the best job in the world, you know. And that's the way it's went through my whole career, which is I just enjoy doing the job that I'm doing, and if I don't enjoy it, it's to go and look for something else. I've been very lucky And that's what I followed, which is, you know, you can do whatever you want to do, right? The key thing is, if you're not enjoying it, you can change it, right? Whether it's through education, whether it's through just saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and do something else. Again, I have been very lucky I'm passionate about the oil industry. I don't know why. And I've been very, very lucky to work in every single part of it.
So can you give us any examples from your working life where, you know, you've maybe done the right thing and maybe even had to fight it, and how it's worked out? Because that's often not the way people think you get ahead or get things done in the world.
You're working with a team. You've got to, I remember fighting to, and you'll recollect this because you were involved, is we were working on specific issues around one of the BP terminals. And the natural reaction from senior management is, tell me what the answer is. Now, they wanted to hear about, well, if we do this, it'll be fixed tomorrow. The reality of the issue was we had several stakeholders in the terminal. So you had the people who were delivering the oil, the people who were purchasing the oil. Now those were third parties as well as BP subsidiary companies. And there was lots of frustrations around why you couldn't do things in a different way.
Yeah. Because
nobody really fully understood all the needs and desires of all the different parties. And this is just internal to BP. So the solution there was actually to get people in a room and start the process of trying to understand each other's positions. Again, senior management thought, right, okay, all right, so you'll have a meeting next week, you'll sit in the room for an hour and then you'll have all the answers. And I remember having to sort of say, no, that's not the way we're going to do it. We're actually going to just get to know each other, and this will be a series of monthly and quarterly meetings, face to face, which obviously requires a significant investment for travel and people's time as well, with an element of a social element to it, which allows people to get to know each other outside of the work place as well. And that took a lot of resilience. Did some games and coaching, which again, people love to ridicule these things. But if you remember as a child, and it's a bit like me going back to my grandfather's example of going looking for birds' eggs, which is the lesson really wasn't about how to get birds' eggs, the lesson was persevere. So we did a lot of exercises and games and shared experiences, which again trying to build the team. And that's one of the most difficult things I've had to do. That one was actually was very successful. It had real tangible results, and that was tiring. But you persevere, and what made it worthwhile for me was for everyone that was negative about it, you had one person who was very positive about it, and there's a lot of people from that group who have went on to be very successful managers who don't have on paper the credentials, and they are carrying out very successful careers now, well beyond where they thought they could ever get to, which is the biggest reward for me, is to see those individuals progress.
One of the things that's really come through today in your generosity in sharing your stories with myself, and then the people who are going to be watching this wherever they are in the world at whatever time they're watching that, is how you share yourself generously. And it's not just about the information and getting the job done, it's about how can you actually have a positive impact on those people you're with. And it's been really gratifying to hear somebody in big business with heart and kind of sharing that in the way they go about business. So I really thank you for sharing so generously of yourself today. This has been another interview for ManKindNess, and I hope you've got, whoever's watching this or wherever you're watching it, you've got some value from Ralph today. So it's ManKindNess, the kind of success worth getting. Thank you, Ralph. Great.